Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today it's Tuesday, so that's Tunisian Tuesday, and we are going to be featuring a Tunisian stitch pattern. So for this stitch pattern, I am using just a regular straight crochet hook, and I'm using a J hook or a 6mm hook. And with this stitch pattern, you can use any hook, any yarn. Now, I don't suggest like fuzzy or furry yarn because then you won't really notice the stitch pattern because the furriness is going to take away from that. So I don't suggest that type of yarn. So as you can see, I've already got my chain started here. And this stitch pattern is a variation of the Tunisian, I think it's called the Tunisian bamboo stitch. And we're just tweaking it a little bit. Nothing wrong with the original one at all. I just wanted to do a variation of it. Okay, so I have made my chains here. So what you're going to need to do for this stitch pattern, now even if you're doing the regular Tunisian bamboo stitch, you'll need to chain a multiple of 3 and then you will add 2. So I have chained 17 because 3 times 5 is 7. 3 times 5 is 15, not 17. And then you add 2 and that's 17. Math, you know, it's not my strength for sure, but you know, actually crocheting's helped my math skills, to be honest. They're not as horrific as they used to be. Okay, so we're going to start with row 1, and in the back bump of the chain, so I just turn the chain over, we're going to pull up loops. So in our second bump from our hook, I'm just pulling up a loop. So this is how a lot of Tunisian projects start. So row 1 is the setup row. In row 2, we will get into the actual stitch pattern. So because I chained 17, I will have 17 loops on my hook. And you can see I just use my finger to kind of help pull that loop on the hook there. Okay, so I have my 17 loops on my hook. So now we need to work these loops off because Tunisians always worked in 2 parts. Each row is worked in 2 parts. And if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have a whole playlist that goes over the basics. So I will post that link in the description box if you want to check that out. Okay, so let's work these loops off. So I've yarned over and we're going to pull through that first loop. I'm going to yarn over again, pull through 2 loops, and I'm going to continue that for the rest of the row, yarning over, pulling through 2 loops. Okay, so row 1 is complete. So let's work row 2. So row 2, we are going to do a yarn over to start with. So I'm just wrapping my yarn around my hook. And now we're going to work a Tunisian knit stitch. So this is a basic Tunisian stitch. So we're going to work through that stitch. So inserting my hook through and pulling up my loop. And we're going to work 3 of those. So working Tunisian knit in that next one, and then in that next one. So now I have 5 loops on my hook, I'm sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that yarn over that we made right here, we're going to pull it over all 3 of those loops. And it just kind of creates a nice little wrap there. And now we're going to repeat that. We're going to yarn over and work Tunisian knit in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And I am going to take that yarn over right here and just pull it over like that. And we're just repeating that across. Okay, so now we have one more stitch to go right here on the end. This tail keeps getting in my way. Okay, so now we just work a Tunisian knit stitch in the end. And we should still have 17 loops on our hook. So let's work these stitches off. So we're going to yarn over, pull through that first loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. You just might need to be a little careful because they're kind of all, so I'm just cheating there using my group together a little bit more compactly. They're not spread apart as well as some of these stitches since they've got that wrap there. Okay, so there is row 2. And so for rows 3 and 4, we're going to just work Tunisian knit all the way across. Now I believe if you're working the traditional bamboo stitch, you would just repeat row 2, but I am doing variation. So I'm just going in that first stitch, working my knit stitch, and just working the knit stitch all the way across. And just working that last stitch, that knit stitch, and then you work your loops off like normal. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. And then for row 4, you will repeat row 3, so just working that knit stitch all the way across. So I am going to work row 4 of my knit stitch, and then I'm going to work a couple more rows repeating rows 2 through 4 so you can see a bigger swatch. Okay, so here we go. I have worked up a swatch, ended up working 17 rows, and I did end on a row 2 just so that it looks a little more symmetrical here. And I think it's really pretty. As you can see, she's a curler, and some Tunisian stitches are curlers. So if you were going to incorporate this stitch in with a project, then you might want to add some purl stitches in. Like, let's say you wanted to make a scarf, then I would have some purl stitches down here, purl stitches down here, and purl stitches there, and that would definitely help with the curling. Purl stitches are your friends when it comes to curling with Tunisian crochet. But I think this is a really pretty stitch, and I do think I have a project in mind for this stitch that hopefully I'll be sharing with you soon. But I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.